That's right. It's time again, ladies and gentlemen. You're entering the Shadow Gallery. I'm James Donnelly, your host. And as you can probably guess, and if you watched the uh, vlog from yesterday, you know that I was seeing Tron Legacy tonight, as my wife indeed did promise me. And indeed we did. And indeed I really enjoyed the living shit out of it. First off, and this is, I've been kind of over and over again in my mind about this film, and whether it's really worthy of objective criticism or not, because it's really hard, excuse me, to be objective about a universe that you know and love so much. I mean, I remember seeing the original Tron back in 1982. I remember going to see it at the Palwaukee Theater in Palatine, Illinois, when it still existed on Milwaukee Avenue, right by Palwaukee Airport. Now, what's interesting about that summer is that if you could name a film that I remembered from that summer, it would be Tron. Not the other two pretty major kind of sci-fi films that came out that summer, because that was also the summer of E.T. Now, of course, I could, everybody in the world can name E.T., but if I could remember it from that year, that it came out specifically that summer, I wouldn't have guessed it in a million years. And also, another unforgettable film, but that I just recently remembered that came out also that same summer, and that was Blade Runner. So, I mean, you have three, kind of almost trend-setting films in the same summer. You have the big money one, which was E.T., and, I love E.T. It's a great movie. You have the smaller kind of independent, not quite independent, but it didn't really have huge major studio backing, even though it featured Harrison Ford. So you had this third, this sci-fi noir masterpiece that later came to be regarded. At that time, people were kind of, a little iffy on it because it wasn't really as action-packed as they were expecting from a Harrison Ford sci-fi film. And, so this kind of, Raymond Chandler, set, 40, 50 years into the future, whatever, it's 2019, I think, that the film takes place. So we haven't gotten to the flying cars yet, and nor have we gotten to the replicants. So, and then in the middle, you had a film that kind of pioneered the usage of CGI, but went largely unrecognized, and then later kind of obtained this kind of cult status, and that was Tron. And that was the movie that I remember from that summer. So obviously going in, I had a different perspective than I think most people who have never seen the film, or if they saw it, if they'd seen it recently, would say, what the hell is this? I mean, this is just kind of a, it's like, you have the internet now and everybody knows how to use a computer. Back in 1982, you were lucky if you could type a command in BASIC, let alone, surf the internet and practically hack sites. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. I mean, just that I have a webcam on with a touchscreen computer with a 20-inch high-def screen. This is something that, not in your wildest dreams in 1982, when I was, 7 going on 8 years old that summer, would I have imagined that would be something that I'd be doing now? Almost, almost 20 years later. I'm sorry, over 20 years later. Excuse me, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Anyway, so we've got Tron Legacy. it's been, now there are 2 reviews that I've read of it. Well, there have been quite a few reviews that I've read of it, but the 2 that I agree with the most are both on ain'titcool.com. One's from Harry himself, and one's from one of the regular contributors, Massaworm. And they touch on Harry much more specifically, but they both touch on the same parts. Harry is a lot more in tune with my line of thinking of this film, which is that if you love this universe, which I did, I grew up loving, and then later, kind of understood, started to see, basically the story that they were, kind of telling. It essentially is this kind of parable for, it's like the Romans and the Christians. I mean, it's very, it's very much a religious, kind of like birth of Christianity fable. And Jeff Bridges himself is this very kind of Christ-like character. He has these miraculous powers, and these gladiatorial combat, and the Romans kind of worship this kind of like false idol that's the MCP. Anyway, and that's what I ended up taking out of it later on in years, when I got to be about 14 or 15 years old. But I still loved it. I didn't think the dialogue was wooden, or, there were some performances, obviously, that left a little bit to be desired, but, I mean, it was just still visually so cool. I remember seeing it on Laserdisc back in 1991 or 92, and still being totally blown away by the world that they had created. Now, I mean, you've seen the trailers. I mean, see, this is a movie you need to see on the big screen. It's not often that I'll say that about a film, because I tend to do most of my viewing at home, because I can ultimately control my environment. And if I go to see something in the theater, I tend to go early in the day, before the evening crowds come in and it gets to be too talky and everything like that. This is going to go into 2 parts as far as the on-camera stuff is concerned. So I'm going to leave you for right now part 1 of this thought, that it's, you do have to see it on the big screen. Lots of people said that about Avatar. I didn't see it on the big screen. I don't care anyway, because I did see it eventually, and I saw it on, my high-def TV, and it still meant less than nothing to me, other than the fact that it's an amazing visual spectacle with nothing at its core. So, whatever, so we'll be right back. Stay tuned on this channel, and click, I'm sure, what will be right below this, and you'll catch part 2 of my review of Tron Legacy. So, be right back.